When it comes to systems that aren't necessarily built specifically for horror, I gotta say Savage Worlds has some of the best settings and just games for horror out in the business. Today, we're gonna talk about 3 of them. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel. This is the Sacred Art of Gaming, where we like to talk about tabletop gaming, and we're talking about some horror tabletop gaming today. We are surrounded by stuff, either on the table or on the side of me. 2 of these I have physically, 1 of them I have digital. So let's get right into these damn books. Now, this first one that I want to spend a decent amount of time on, because the more I revisit this, the more I think about how good this would be for solo play. Similar to Blades in the Dark. This is Rippers Resurrected. It's worth noting that everything I'm about to cover is technically not for the latest edition of Savage Worlds, which is the Adventure Edition. They're all for I believe it's the Explorers Edition? It's the little book. But there are rules out there, quick little things you can download, errata so to speak, that just upgrades it to the Adventure Edition for all 3 of these books. Now, I have here the Rippers Player's Guide, Game Master's Handbook, and Expedition Amazon for the Splat book here. Really, we just need to cover the Player's Guide. The Player's Guide, I think, gives you most of what you need. To talk about Rippers, there's a few things I think are important to cover. So this is going to be Victorian era horror, basically. So if you think of a lot of your classic monsters, all of the backstory, which now that I think about it, Savage Worlds does alternative history or alternative fiction history in this case really well, because they take stuff like Van Helsing, Dracula, Frankenstein, Jack the Ripper, it's Rippers, and they kind of twist them in a way that's just more fantastical and more dark fantasy horror-esque. Now, long story short, there's been monster hunters for as long as we can remember. There's all kinds of cool history for that. We're not going to dive too deeply into that. The things that I really want to touch on for Rippers Resurrected is going to be the factions. So we're going to start with the factions, and we're also going to talk about some of the setting rules and Ripper tech, which is amazing. Those being the main things that make this different. So one of the things that I think is going to make this good for solo play is the factions. So there's the Frasers, Fighters, the Masked Crusaders, the Old Worlders, the Order of St. George, the Rosicrucians, I don't know. How do you say that? Slayers and Witch Hunters. Slayers, a lot easier. And the idea for all these different factions is that they all have some type of specialty. Maybe they have specific hunting grounds that they deal with, whether it's like the forest or the streets of a city, or maybe they specialize in a certain type of monster. So aligning yourself to factions or something bigger than yourself, I think, is always a win when it comes to solo play. Now, we do have the typical Savage Worlds character building type stuff. There's going to be new edges and new hindrances in all of these, if we're being honest. But there are a few things that are a little different that we'll dig into a little more later. But that's going to be Reason, Faction, which we just mentioned, and Status. I guess, yeah, Possession's not really, but Status being the big one. So, yeah, we do have some cool, different edges and hindrances. Very nice, very nice. Flip through those real quick, and then we have our equipment. This kind of reminds me Some of the equipment in here reminds me of Bloodborne, kind of. I feel like there could be some really cool like Bloodborne mashups. Look at some of this gear. Really cool. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff in here. There's a little bit of like weird science at play. And then the setting rules, which is the next thing that I want to hit on. Mainly going to be reason, which is kind of insanity. I'm starting to notice the best horror games, or dark fantasy or whatever, it's almost like sanity is a requirement. Have you noticed that? Because you can't depend on your players to be afraid. So yeah, that's going to be a big part of it. I think that's a good call. And then also ripping psychosis. When we talk about Ripper Tech and them being rippers, picture like cyberpunk. I just realized something interesting. I was gonna say mix cyberpunk with Witcher, both by the as far as the video game goes, by the same company. But yeah, if you kind of combine those, where the Witcher's trying to get an advantage on specific monsters, and a lot of times he uses the materials he gets from those monsters to make like elixirs and tonics and stuff. And he does get mutated, but it's in a ritual before. He's not mutating per fight necessarily, other than those elixirs. But that's not mutation. Now you mix that with something like cyberpunk. That's going to be the ripping psychosis, where it's like you're now taking body parts from those monsters, implementing them into yourself, and there's only so much that your body can handle. It's like Strain for cyberpunk, long story short. And then we also have status. So this is the status in the game, and I haven't really had this come into play too much yet, but I feel like it would for solo play. This is really just how you interact with the different statuses. So you see like underclass, working class, middle class, elite, and there's bonuses and stuff, favors that you get between those different statuses. And favors and what was the other one? Scandals kind of go into that a little bit too. There's some interesting little tables there, or some events rather. So for favors, complete an adventure. Number of favors depends on the status of those assisted at the GM's discretion. Great. And then this gives you like, what is it, a +1 to 5. We have the scandals table, and there's a cost associated with this. Make an unlikely, unproven, or false allegation. Yeah, that would be interesting. The Lodge, that definitely for solo play. Anytime you're building something that exists beyond your character, I think that's huge. And I'm already wasting too much time on just a single book. So here's all the stuff that you can add to the Lodge. Solid art, and there's some example lodges. Ripper Tech, the main thing that I am excited to talk about. Basically, you need like a surgeon to get the Ripper Tech into you, so like the eyes of a vampire or whatever. Actually, let's take an exact example, like claws. That'll replace the nails, and maybe it comes from any creature with a strength plus d6 claw attack or higher. So werewolf probably, right? Demon hide, demon horns, grave brew. That's an interesting one. So any undead, and then I guess you ingest it. And all of these are going to give you some type of benefits. So for the grave brew, for example, the recipient gains +2 to all spirit rolls. That's not too sexy, is it? But let's say ethereal form. So this, you get this from any vampire which casts no reflection. The hero can adopt their ethereal form, the invisibility power activated with spirit. Very cool. It lasts 2d6 rounds. So yes, that would be very helpful. Takes that part of a vampire's blood that causes it to cast no reflection and infuses it into the recipients. Damn, it's a blood transfusion. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff there. A lot of cool stuff. And then it just kind of goes into the setting. There is a adventure in the back, but and it also breaks down like various different regions. The Game Master's Handbook does that even more, and Expedition Amazon, as you'd imagine, is specific to the Amazon. Why there's a donkey, I don't know, but I love that he's there. To the next one. Now this next one should be a lot shorter because I have covered this already to some degree. I love East Texas University, and I really just want to hit the things that, like the high points, because we're covering 3 books here. So what's really great about East Texas University is that it is college focused. It's not just like an overlay that just gets slapped onto it and we're like, oh yeah, we're in college, but we're also like murdering zombies. No, like college is a big part of it. So you have like semester allowance, you have your exams, you get burnout from exams, you have extracurricular activities, and all of that is just excellent. It is also in Texas, so they throw in some like wordology, some common sayings, and then you also have some ideas for characters that you would have in this type of setting, because you're not going to be thinking of clerics and rangers, you're going to be thinking of country boy and girl, or jock, or ROTC, sorority sister, wild child, etc. Joining frats and sororities. There's a whole table in here for like what type of organizations they might be, and then also what they're called. Love that. You can have like cursed effects. If you have like a vehicle, you could have like a cursed vehicle. That's really cool. There's going to be additional edges and hindrances that are specific to the setting per all Savage Worlds games. Your gear, this is all going to be modern because it is a modern game. And this is East Texas University, which is a college. There is also Pine Box Middle School, which is similar but different. It's going to be more like kids on bikes. Worth mentioning, I don't have it, haven't played it, but I'm not opposed. It's just, I don't know, there's so many games. So many games. Yeah, so your vehicle, you can have like glitches for your vehicle and stuff, which is so cool. Use car glitches. You get exam difficulty too, and you do get like, it depends, it changes how you level up depending on your exam. So you have like your midterms and your finals, and it's your level ups, advancements, whatever in Savage Worlds are tied to those exams. And other little things happen, like you get administrative privileges, somebody wants to grab a drink with you, you get some type of additional bonus. It's really neat. You have your extracurricular activities, like you can be an athlete, you could be a party animal, a gamer, a library technician, performer, ROTC, teacher's aide, and those all come with benefits and negatives as well. And then it kind of goes into the setting. I generally believe that modern settings are kind of lame, especially when it's so close to real life. They found a way to make this really cool. They really did. I'm actually really surprised how much I got pulled into, not just the setting, but also like the plot point campaign, which is excellent. They have different sites of interests and different things that can happen. Love all that. But I want to get to the rituals. And you have like ghost hunter type equipment that you can use as well. But yeah, this game is based on rituals and ritual components. So there's a ritual failure table, but I really love the ritual component generator, which has some exotic items and some more common items. And those things will be required for certain rituals that you want to do. If you have an occult type person in your group, but there's also black magic that can be utilized as well, and we know how that ends. Some specific Rituals, a whole table just for grave speak. And then you have an awesome adventure generator. Love this. Who, what, why, where. And then also a party generator, which, did I skip a page? No, I did not. So this is just supernatural creatures, victim, complications. Honestly, this could be cool for solo as well. I think I'd put Rippers ahead of it just because I've played this more already. This high strangeness table, love this. This is just like anytime you're watching a movie or a show and just like weird shit is happening to freak you out. That's pretty much what this is. Water turns to blood. Freaky. Why? I don't know. A strange mist fills a large burst template area centered on the heroes or triggering source. So sometimes really crazy and sometimes like not really that crazy at all. Here's the party generator that I was thinking of. Different research adventures. Yeah, there's a good amount in here, man. And then your different NPCs, characters, monsters in the back. Art is really solid in here. And I also recommend this Degrees of Horror plot point campaign. I don't want to go into this too much right now, but long story short, there's a general story that you have to hit freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. And then in the middle of that, you can put in all of the side adventures that are in this book that can and cannot happen. And there's also some additional ones in this book too. Really, really cool. All right, so that has been those two. Now let's jump into Accursed. The main things that I want to hit on for this, because we're already kind of long, this one is probably the most unique of the three that I'm mentioning. So there's something called the Bane War, which is really just all of these different witches going to war, and the different witches have themes around them. So for example, the mongrels, I think, which are like the is it them or is it the Vargar? I forget. Whatever the werewolves are, their thing is like hunger through the witch that they have. So the witches they created armies, and now the war is over, so to speak. And not only is the war over, but the creatures, they are now like kind of free to do whatever they want. And the playable characters are monsters. So you would choose your witch breed, which is the type of monster, your traits, attributes, skills, edges, hindrances, sure. All that stuff is pretty standard with the exception of the creature that you would choose. And there's quite a bit of a blurb here. But here is the witch breed package for the Dhampir, which is like a half vampire. So they've got a lot of really cool stuff here. And then you've got your golems, their witch breed package, your mongrels, these guys, and this is all like a curse for all these guys. They're monstrous forms. They're just kind of like half animal, half person. And then you got your mummies, Ophidians, that's really cool. Your snake people and stuff that goes with them. Revenants, being like other undead outside of mummies. Shades, that'll be like your ghosts and stuff. And what's worth mentioning too is imagine like this isn't just like for fighting. Like imagine the town. The town is all like golems and werewolves and monsters, and how does that affect society? Really cool. The Vargar are the chosen of the Baba Yaga. There are shock troops, insatiable taste for flesh of men. Yeah. So they are the werewolves, the Vargar. Really cool. The insatiable hunger. Now here are the setting rules. Nothing too crazy here, just letting you know that yeah, it's a bleak world. It was ravaged. They gotta overcome brutal challenges, Horrors created by the witches yet dominate the populace, often working as their agents. I don't think we really need to go too far into that. And then we mention all of the different witches down here. So you've got the Baba Yaga, the Blood Witch, Chimera, the Crone, the Dark Queen, the Djinn, the Gorgon, the Morgan, and that is all of them. And there's a lot that we can dive into with the different witches, and they have all their own goals and stuff. Some of them may or may not be dead. It's a lot. But another thing that I want to mention for this book, other than the fact there's more edges and hindrances, of course, because it's a Savage Worlds game. Yep, reference list. Aha, we have unholy powers. So yeah, we'll go into that briefly. You have two things, alchemy and witchcraft, which are specific to this. And there are rules around that with specific spells. There's some alchemy, here's some witchcraft, and you could probably easily supplement this with more if you wanted. Tools and gear, we don't really care about that too much. What I really care about, that I would like to show you, is around the witch breed curse, the witch marks. So this is amazing. I feel like this could also be really fun. So in addition to the fact that you're already playing a monster, what's cool is things change for your monster as you go up in the ranks from novice to seasoned to veteran, which is a Savage Worlds thing. But you can accept or defy the witch mark. So you can lean into being more of a monster, or you can fight against it. So when you become more of a monster, your bonuses get bigger, but your drawbacks also get more drawbackery. Yeah, no, they get more intense. And it actually gives you different stages. This is really cool how this was broken down per stage, and it lets you know, like, for the Dampier specifically, for the Golem specifically, what happens when you are accepting or rejecting. And if you reject, you're basically working towards becoming human again. You could kind of like completely fight against the curse and become human if you really stick to that. Or you completely accept it and go full monstrous. For example, the Golem here. When a Golem completely accepts the nature of his curse, his body becomes more than the prison for his soul. It becomes part and parcel of the Golem's very purpose. So consumed is the Golem's soul that he finds that he has sacrificed something of himself in order to strengthen the body itself, increasing the body's physical power in return. However, the stronger body is also heavier and harder to move, meaning that it becomes even slower than before. Pros and cons across the board there. So yes, that has been 3 very fun Savage Worlds horror settings and or books. Do any of those settings interest you? Have you played any of them already? What did I miss outside of Pine Box Middle School? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, if there's anything outside of Savage Worlds that you also think does an excellent job with horror games, and it's not specifically a horror game, like Alien, yeah, amazing, of course. Call of Cthulhu, amazing, of course, right? But outside of that, let me know in the comments down below. I want to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the fun YouTube things, and I'll see you in the next one as we continue to explore the sacred art of gaming together.